ladies and gentlemen, I saw a bad take on the internet. And the real surprising thing about this bad take is that it came from the world champion. Farfa, who are you to criticize and disagree with the opinions of the world champion of Yu-Gi-Oh? I am a person with a big mouth and not much else. Anyway, so this started off from a thread of Ruggles here asking, if you were to teach someone modern Yu-Gi-Oh who hasn't played since 2007, what affordable deck would you hand them? Is Salomon Great still a viable entry point? Is Labyrinth reasonable? I don't want to put another Flu player into this world. So, what decks are good new player friendly decks? Side little tangent, of course, as always when it comes to reactions. I want to unequivocally say that the biggest example and thought experiment we've done on this, we have seen it unfold live in real time with us, is Raran. Raran, for some bizarre, strange reason, was given the suggestion to play a Cyberse deck for his first ever adventure into Yu-Gi-Oh! Imagine barely understanding how phases work. Imagine barely understanding how damage works in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't mean like the damage step, sub-step, fucking 0.765 damage calc bullshit like that. I mean like attacking and like what the number difference is between defense and attack. Like imagine not barely understanding that shit and then someone says, yeah, here's a good strat. Play 3 Salmon Great structure decks. That was the worst suggestion anyone could give to someone. A Cyberse deck. So, yeah. Anyway, that was, that's not how you teach someone Yu-Gi-Oh! So this is posted by Ben K on Twitter here. I think Voiceless has taken over Sword Soul Spot as the best beginner returner deck. Has rather short turns. Linear game plan is definitely competitive and does not force you to use a extra deck at all, but gives you the option to. Sword Soul does definitely want you to use the extra deck. But anyway, got a little masterpiece to show you here. I talked about this before in the past, but let's say this is like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dex. YGO Dex. And this is how we measure the skill required to play a Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. Skill required. Okay. If you were to like gauge this on a graph, you would probably think that something like Salmon Great, what appears to be like the suggestion as to entry-level Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks, is like the skill required and the skill floor of Salmon Great is somewhere down here, and the skill ceiling of the deck is somewhere up here. Meaning what? What do these terms actually mean? So the skill floor is how much is required effort brain-wise to actually pilot the deck somewhat functionally. People put it all the way down here, despite the fact that if you were to do a flowchart diagram of a, oh, I don't want to open a new thing yet. It would let's do it over here. This is like salad combos, right? This is like a gazelle, all right? Just one single gazelle is like over here. Pew! Pew! There you go, right? This is one gazelle. What does one gazelle end on? You can normal summon Gazelle and not use the effect. That's option 1. You can normal summon Gazelle and send Spinny. Probably what you want to do. As a new player, what could you send? I don't know, Jaguar. That's very wrong, but it could theoretically do something. You could send Coyote. Why would that be in your deck? I don't, like, do you know what I mean? So the idea is that there are so many different possible opportunities. When you are a new player who doesn't even know how phases work, the likelihood of you landing on one of the correct decision trees among just a gazelle is like 25%. Now, you could say, oh, read your card and go from there. But, like, how is a new player supposed to, number one, read gazelle, and then read every single Salmon Great card in their deck, and then from there, realize that they can then go even further, and then from the Spinny, they can then get to the Stalio, which is over here, and then from the Stalio, they even more decision trees to make, which involves, I don't know, Stalio summon Jaguar. You have Stalio summon Vision. You have Stalio summon fucking Beat Bison. And then all of these different pathways that they have to traverse in order to find the correct linear combo line is just impossible. So TLDR, do not fucking suggest Salmon Great for new players. The reason why Sword Soul, as an example, is the best entry-level deck because it's so hard to go wrong with Sword Soul. You aren't giving your opponent a million different option trees. You should be having an opportunity to play a deck where, historically, we could talk about something like Invoke. The skill floor is all the way down here. Like, literally, like, just, like, mouth breathing, like, just down here. And with the skill ceiling of Invoked, well, Invoke doesn't have all of these infinite different decision trees it can go through. It's like still down here somewhere. The difference between a great Invoked player and an okay Invoked player is basically like non-existent. Because you normal summon Alistair. Here's Alistair. How do we make him all demonic and satanic? Here we go. Oh, I'm summoning the devil. Oh, I'm so good. Ooh. Here's like a little silly rod or something. The decision trees for Alistair is what? Normal summon. Or set. That's it. There's 2 decision trees. Compared to Gazelle, which has like about 13 different like decision trees at any one time from a single Gazelle. You are overloading your friend with information to try and play something like Salamangreat compared to a deck like Invoked, which has like 2 decision trees. Normal summon Moyi. Sword Soul is a deck that has its skill floor like somewhere down here. Its skill ceiling, pretty relatively mid to slightly above average, involving Tenyis and stuff, but arguably still not that high. But that's the great thing about Sword Soul, is that it's a really great entry-level deck, and then from there, you can ascend even further and be better as a player to then perfect your combos and your understanding of how to actually path through all of those different combos versus hand traps. Sword Soul is a great deck like that. You know, you compare it to something like Salamangreat, in my opinion, the skill floor of Salamangreat is like somewhere all the way up here. Right? It's like all the way up here before you even get like a basic understanding of how to even play the deck and do the simple combos. People are so overrate just how easy it is to play Salamangreat and all Cyberse deck. Because all of those decks have like 30 different things you can do at any one time to actually have a chance at even like doing just the basic combo. And then the skill ceiling, probably somewhere up here, maybe not that high, maybe somewhere here, right? This is bad. You do not want this. You do not want to give a new player this. This is what you want to give a new player. This right here. This is ideal. You want small number of options and very simple combos that get you to very simple game states that are still strong and powerful. The sweet spot, as they get more advanced, is somewhere around here. Moderately average to competent with a low skill ceiling, low skill floor to a mid-level skill ceiling. That's an ideal place to be. And then from there, they can advance and play basically any deck they want in the game. So anyway, TLDR, why am I so mad about this? The world champion Ryan says that it's another way of saying both decks are infuriatingly devoid of skill expression. I'm not hating on people using them as a beginner or beyond, just that they're both horrible for the game. I think it's crazy to say that Sword Soul is a deck that's horrible for the game. These decks are so good for the game. These decks are like, well, in the grand scheme of things, if you actually want people to play your decks, and you actually want new people to come and play Yu-Gi-Oh!, you need these low skill level decks for people to actually have a chance against competent players and to actually enter the fold of the metagame. You know what I mean? It's that simple. You're suggesting a deck that has so little plays that they cannot fuck up, but that doesn't teach anything? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. What do you mean? Brother, how are you going to do all of this when you barely understand what a phase is? How are you going to learn all of this when you're first trying to grasp how to declare an attack? How defense position works? You learn from making mistakes? No. And this is what I mean, and this is why I think Ryan Yu is the worst possible person for this. Do you know why? Because he's the world champion. When you are so good at the game, everything is going to feel and seem easy. This is a very biased, and this is a very head in the clouds angle. You are literally too good at the game to be able to decide what is good for new players. Unironically, that's my view here. Because if you're the world champion, everything is going to seem fucking easy. So clearly Salamangreat is an easy deck to Ryan. Clearly Salamangreat is a simple brain-dead deck to Ryan because he can play that with his eyes closed. Do you understand? So these people don't actually have a good opinion on this type of thing because they are too good to be able to judge what the average player experiences, what the new player experiences, what the bad player experiences. They don't understand because they don't suck. So that's why I think this was like a terrible understanding of like the situation here. But yeah, that's essentially just like a mini rant that I wanted to talk about. Like I've talked about like this discussion and this topic before about skill ceilings, skill floors, and stuff like that. But basically, at any one time, a Yu-Gi-Oh player, a new Yu-Gi-Oh player, who is literally just trying to understand something as simple as like the actual flow of a duel, which is like main phase 1 and then battle phase. It's like, how do you involve this person into the game? You give them cards, you give them a deck that basically has very few linear options in regards to what their plays are. Like, set, normal summon, and like activate maybe like a hand effect. That's like the absolute maximum number of options you should be given at any one time if you are barely even understanding how these processes work. We have seen, again, I'll reiterate the example with Raran. For anyone who's watched through the entire saga of him debating and talking about like his experience with Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that, he is someone who has reached legend rank in Yu-Gi-Oh. He is someone who's been rank 1 legend in Yu-Gi-Oh. He has hit Mythic in Magic the Gathering. He is a good card game player. He is an above average card game player. Do you understand? You mean Hearthstone? Yeah. Okay. Minor speaking mistake. And he could not wrap his head around Salamangreat. Instead, he played Sword Soul, and where did he get? He got to Diamond. That's pretty impressive for someone's first ever season playing Yu-Gi-Oh. That is a genuinely good accomplishment. And so when people suggest like Salamangreat as an entry level deck for you, it blows my mind that people can think a deck that literally at any one time has legitimately about like 16 different options and abilities that it can do. Like literally the infinite number of different things can happen with just a single Gazelle. And people want to suggest that as a new player-friendly deck. Brother, when you don't even know how damage works in the game, you should not be playing a deck that requires, like, a combo spreadsheet. Like, literally, the fact that there is a spreadsheet and a combo guide for a Salamangreat is indicative of the fact that it's not a good deck for new players. So, yeah. Anyway, TLDR, I'm calling out Ryan here for his bad take on this, because he is literally too good at Yu-Gi-Oh! To be able to give an opinion on this type of thing. And I think that, you know, saying that Sword Soul is like bad for the game, you know, obviously no bias here, smile, is just not true. Sword Soul was a very good deck for teaching new players how Yu-Gi-Oh works, for the basic fundamentals. It's like, okay, you know, if you're like intermediate at Sword Soul, you can understand how to like summon a Tenyi, make a Link 1, banish a Shuna, go into like a Chao Feng turn 1 to be able to play around Nibiru, then provide you with a normal summon with a return of the hand and the Adara to be able to reveal for the Moe, to then go into the Chao Feng, the Chi Xiao, and then get you further searches. You can go defensively, you can get the Blackout, you can get the long one for the extend, blah, 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 blah. You could do all this different stuff at the higher levels of Sword Soul, or normal summon Moe, make Chi Xiao, set a card and pass. So that's the advantage of those decks. You can read my message history if you want, Quantal. Like, again, sorry, two-time world finalist, 1-time world champion. You don't have a good take. Your opinion is wrong. You are too good at Yu-Gi-Oh! To understand the average and new player experience. You're actually too good. Like, so this is why I wanted to have this little rant here, because these people don't understand what the bad player experience is at this game. Sword Soul is terrible for the game. You can learn from your mistakes. You learn at an accelerated pace. There's a difference between being thrown into the deep end and being thrown into, like, you know, there's jumping into the deep end of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then there's like having a 6-year-old enter a quantum physics lecture at university. Like, there's like this middle ground where, yeah, you can kind of like jump into the deep end. And the deep end of Yu-Gi-Oh! That I would consider for a brand new player would probably be like Salamangreat, right? But then, like, you know, you want to give someone like, yeah, here's the current deck. Go play Snake Eye Azamina as your first ever new player deck. There's deep end, and then there's, okay, little child, come, let's talk about Schrodinger's cat from an actual mathematical perspective. Like, you can't do that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is for 6-year-olds. But anyway, yeah. So, TLDR, world champions should shut the fuck up, because when it comes to being bad at Yu-Gi-Oh!, let me speak. Let me speak. Let me speak. Okay? Thank you.